We're going to be talking about websites, and I titled this Webflow versus Squarespace because that was my dilemma. My goal, as always, always got to give you a goal, is to help you understand your own website strategy. So I want this to be we're going to talk about the platforms themselves, yes, but I really want to back this up, zoom out this conversation to maybe make you realize that it's less about the platform itself and more about what you want to do with the platform or what you want to do as an end goal for your business, for your art, for your creativity. We're going to focus on three main points here. So it's going to be, what can we do? What do you want to do? What are the goals of your business? What are you hoping that this the website is just one piece of your entire marketing strategy, your entire business strategy. So how does that fit in? What do you want that to do? It's hard to talk about just a website without starting to talk about things like social media, content strategy, customers, products, selling things, providing a service, funneling people to where you want them to go. With client experience, I'm talking about, designing the first impression that your clients have when they first land on your website, and how much control do you want to have over that? How precious is that to you? Do you care at this point? Are you too early in the game to really need to focus on that? Should you really start to focus more on just getting a product out or getting a service out? And then finally, your investment. And that kind of ties into client experience up there. But when I say investment, it's investment in your time, investment in your money, investment in your learning the platform, because these both have a learning curve. One is greater than the other, and depending on how much time you want to put into these is the kind of reward, investment, payback, dividends that you're going to receive from working with these platforms. I have always created my own website. I've never outsourced to a designer or worked with a website designer. I've always done it in-house, on my own. And because I want to learn the stuff, I want to be able to move fast with this stuff. That's what kind of Squarespace gave me at first. It was the ability to, like, if I wanted to create it, or if I thought of it, or if I looked on somebody else's website and said, I like that, I like this layout, I like how they did this here, I'm gonna go kind of create that here on my own site. That was great. That's what I wanted, and something robust, and even Squarespace has a great mobile app system too, where even if I was on the road, if I was traveling and I needed to upload the blog, or something wasn't quite working on the website, or needed to adjust something, I could just go in there, very simple web builder on the app, and just change it, upload the blog, type it on my phone, and it looks like a professional blog post had I done it from my desktop. So that was all great stuff. The other nice part about Squarespace is there are, of course, there's the biggest selling point are the templates. Like, we're going to give you beautifully designed templates. You don't have to do the thinking, which is actually, it's pretty hard stuff, like to think of like how exactly to lay this out, because you're also thinking about the layout of your website versus desktop versus mobile, because, and the great part about the templates were that they would set it up so that you did not have to like rearrange, or like your whole website wasn't completely different. It had some coherence between the desktop and mobile version. As of this point, looking at my analytics, desktop for me is about 66 to 60% of my website traffic desktop, and then 40% or less is mobile. So it's not nothing, but I think it leans more. I tend to design more for the desktop. And I don't know, maybe I should design some elements for mobile, but for the main part, the main spread, the homepage especially, that is mainly geared towards desktop. The limits that I started to run into were, I was like, if I were going to upgrade to the next thing, it was going to be a significant dollar increase, but I wasn't going to get like everything I wanted, or I was like teetering on the edge of using e-commerce, but I was also playing in some other free e-commerce space. So like, I use thinkific.com because the first two courses that you put out there are free. And I was like, great. I need to test out how to set up an online course, do my first online course. I'd rather not be paying $75 a month on something that I have no idea if it's even going to work. Thinkific, it was a great way to kind of get me in there. So combining the landing pages and the kind of strategy with Squarespace, and then leading people into like an online course, I was like, I started to run up to the limits of like the features I was given in my plan. And then I also, the templates are great if you're new to it, but once you get really good at Squarespace, you really learn it, and you also learn how to break it, and you learn how to kind of move outside and circumvent the template that you're given. And it just got to a point where I was adding so many add-ons, I was doing so much like back-end code of Squarespace that it just started to kind of fall apart, and the site would get slower, or SEO would get a little messed up. So that was me trying to I could tell I was like hitting the limits of it. Let's talk now about business strategy. So when you are choosing a website, when you're choosing a website platform, it should really be based around what it is that you want to do in your marketing strategy, what you want to do in your business strategy. A website is simply a customer or a client contact tool. This is something for your clients, your customers to interface with you at scale. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be present. It's not exactly the right way to say when I say like it's a brochure, but some people treat their website like a brochure. But depending on the types of clients and depending on the service or product that you're offering to clients, your website should be set up and optimized to facilitate that result. So my result, sometimes I wanted, when I was kind of first starting in the Squarespace and like kind of towards the end of my time using Squarespace, I was very much leaning towards just like I wanted to put out content, and I also wanted to guide people to coaching. So I was like jordanpanderson.com/coaching, and then people can read the blog and people can kind of watch my videos, and like it'll all kind of funnel into the coaching. Like that was what I wanted to sell. And at the same time, I was also had like other funnels set up for my online courses. So I was selling how to start your own production company, personal branding. I had those two online courses set up on Squarespace. And so that was my business strategy. I wanted to like sell transactions, sell courses through Squarespace. People would click on the link, they would sign up for the course, and I would get revenue from that. With yours, if you are a wedding photographer, if you're a videographer, if you are trying to, and it also depends on the types of clients that you're looking to attract. If you're in the agency world, or if you're a content creator looking to kind of getting better relationships with agencies or marketing firms or larger production houses in your city, maybe they just want to see a portfolio website, or maybe you create a corner of your website that is just dedicated to showing your portfolio, your demo reel, your photos, your gallery, like your top 5 projects, maybe some case studies, and have it just be sort of like a personal portfolio website. So like done this in the past, and I started to do this on Squarespace, that I had a portion of my website was dedicated to portfolios and demo reels and video clips to show clients and like get them excited, or like if the client, sort of like my resume was like, that was half of my website, but then the other half was to attract customers and filmmakers and YouTubers who were watching me on YouTube and coming and saying, hey, I wanted to take the how to start your own production company. I wanted to take that online course. And I was like, it's hard to kind of make that split on a website and not have both parties, both different customer profiles confused. You want to really focus on one simple customer and say like, how can we guarantee, or how can we facilitate the best customer client experience, so that when they land on the homepage, or they land on this specific page of the website and it takes them to the next page, that it all makes sense, and we're carefully guiding them through page to page to page, so that there's no like when they're confused, that's when you start to see the bounce rate. When they say like, if my online course YouTube customers were coming to my portfolio site, that's not exactly relevant to them. So they'd be like, okay, cool, this is Jordan's work, but this doesn't help me, or this is cool to watch, but it's not like, this feels like a dead end to me. Whereas if it was a client, if it was an agent, if it was a larger production house looking to hire me as a cinematographer, they want to see my portfolio, because then that's going to take them to the next page to where they're going to contact me to hire me for a project. You have to really articulate this. You have to really think about your business strategy when it comes to your website. So you can have multiple different customer profiles on your website, but if you're going to build that, then you have to make it so that each audience is siphoned off, is completely in their own little silos when they're visiting your website, that they're not going to accidentally go to a website or a web page of yours that doesn't make sense. So the next part is talking about client experience, and I'm kind of like one of these, these are kind of falling one into another. So with Squarespace, you have the ability to make nice templates and you kind of start from a really good point. Do you want to have complete control over every single aspect of the website, from the backend settings all the way to the shape of the button, or how the button works, or the size of the fonts and all that, and this and the variations, or do you want to just kind of make something very simple? Jordan, I'm not really that much into website design. I'll probably just hire somebody, or I just kind of need to get a website up pretty quick. Client experience, client design, user experience, that can kind of come later. As I got further into Squarespace and using Squarespace, that I just kind of, I keep hitting that. I started to hit the limits of what I could do, what was possible. I was circumventing everything. And then there are also parts that, they design it to be very simple and to be very straightforward, and that people who have no website design can use it. And that's where I was. And the more I used it, the better I got, the more I started to hit those limits. And I just, there were some things I just wanted to constantly change, or like you want to exactly adjust in the width of something, or the gap between two sections, or maybe I want a nice animation, or they didn't exactly have the right animation, or like something that's kind of like really smooth, like a smooth fade in as opposed to just a, linear A to B fade, and add some like sparks of delight in my website. Like what, if people like hover over this one icon, the icon spins or like shoots out confetti or something. Like I wanted that kind of level of control. I want that kind of level of control. Like, and I'm okay in going to this third point, I'm okay with putting in the investment. Like I invested time learning how to use Squarespace, and now I'm okay investing time learning to use whatever platform is out there that can give me those abilities. Well, I guess I could say I officially got Webflow in July, but I really started playing around with it in April. I did the free trial. It was a free trial where, of course, you can't like start a domain and have your own, whatever, your own .com. But I was able to do the free course where you just have like a jordan-webflow.io, Webflow account. So like just to get used to the controls, get used to the design elements, because it was a lot. It's a huge learning curve to get into Webflow. Like for me, again, I have no CSS. I'm barely there on it when it comes to HTML, no Java, no whatever other coding languages out there. But the great part about Webflow, there were tons and tons and tons of learning resources. Webflow probably has the best tutorial university. Webflow University was the best. Like that, like when I watched the tutorial videos, it was in terms of production value, in terms of comedy, writing, just everything. Like it made the learning interesting for something that it can be a little boring, can be a little bit of an arduous task to go and learn this whole platform and this whole like kind of environment of how everything interacts. And me starting from scratch learning, Squarespace does not teach you proper coding, anything like, it just has blocks. It's like maybe text blocks and links. That's about as codey as embedding HTML is about as codey as it gets. Squarespace does not use any proper website design terms. It really doesn't do it. So, coming over to Webflow, I kind of had to get into a little bit of like HTML, CSS 101, but it's not like I had to learn the code. I just had to learn how to use Webflow, and that taught me. I learned Webflow, and I feel very confident at it right now, competent at it. And I, at the same time, now I can say I know CSS. Like I can read a CSS style sheet and be like, yep, I know exactly what this looks like, or like, oh, I see where the padding is and the margins and the fonts. Okay, cool. And the secondary fonts. Okay, like I can read that now, and it's weird. But like Webflow does not teach you how to do that exactly. You just kind of learn it through using the platform. What I saw with Webflow was its ability to like really get into the finer details. Like I could design anything I want in any particular order, and yes, there are templates that you can get, there are clonables that you can get from other Webflow users, but it's kind of like any kind of problem you can think of, or any kind of thing you can put into your imagination, or like whatever you can like think of, like let me give this a shot, see if this works. You can try it, you can do it. And I guess there are best practices, but there were no rules. There's no like limiting things, or like you can't put this inside of this, or like you can't put this box inside this box, or a video can't go inside a text box next to like with Squarespace, it has a logic, like you cannot put. They want to keep it very simple for simple users who just like, you can't combine these two blocks together because that would cause a conflict. Before I made all of this, before I did this live stream, and if you're on my email list and you're on my daily email list, I talked about this back, I guess it was in July. I tried to build the website in 2 weeks. I was like, I'm going to do a 2-week sprint, and I'm going to build a website from scratch. I'm going to migrate everything from Squarespace, put it all onto Webflow. I did not realize that I had to learn Webflow extensively in order to get the results I wanted to. So my 2-week sprint turned into a 4-week sprint, which I don't even know if you can call that a sprint anymore. But it worked out. I got very proficient with Webflow, got the website that I think I wanted, and like I made a whole video. I was gonna like do this whole series. I was gonna do like a documentary about it, a little mini documentary, like vlog sort of thing. And once it started to like creep into like beyond, like after week 1, I could tell like it was going to be longer than a 2-week sprint. I was like, well, I don't know if I can vlog this every single day. Like, hey, I learned what a div block is, and how a div block goes into a section, and what a section is, and I learned how to combine, it was starting to lose the tension of the story. It was just kind of like, okay, Jordan, this is just a boring video of you making just coding software, basically. I treated myself like a client 100%. Like I went through everything that there is or should be when it comes to building a website strategy. It was, again, it's not about the platform, it's not about the content on the website, it's about what you want the shit to do on the website, and what you want your people to do once they're on the website, what you want them to do. So like I was making this, like I made my little customer journey. I was like, okay, I want them to find free content, paid ads, bring them into retargeting, email sequences, take them to the qualifying phase, take them to a paid offering. Like I had a whole, once the paid offering, then the, onboarding sequence, welcoming sequence, starting the project. I haven't even vetted this. Hope there's nothing like horrible on this. Customer journey, and the new offering, resell them, upsell them, make them into loyal customers, kind of join my inner circle, and then put them back in the funnel and kind of, start to serve them again and kind of keep. So this was my main theme, and I think I've talked to this. If you're on my email list, and go to jordanpanderson.substack.com to check me out. This is the philosophy. I got this from AJ and Smart. This is from the Google Sprint design guys. Collect, choose, create, and commit. So so that's what I did. I collected all the information, inspiration. I wrote down all the copy. I chose what I liked, what I didn't like, and then I started to create. I wrote the copy. I took these branding photos. I took the photos for the website, made a video for the website, and then I committed to that design and like just kept pushing forward and just didn't let any, when you're building the website from scratch, you want to make it perfect, or you want to make it look like this professional website that you saw, or like you'll be 4 days into your journey and then you find a new website that somebody else did and you're like, damn, that looks great. I want to rip some of that from, but you got like, no, just keep the blinders on, Jordan, just keep making what you're making. These are the people, I like this is what I like. I was breaking down people's websites because I was like, okay, this is what I like about this, I found this great. This is actually like a demo website. It was like, go check this out. This is a copy Ipsum. I think there was I just screenshotted a ton of stuff. But check this out. This is copy Ipsum. I forget the website, but this was like a kind of a funny way to like, it just gives you like a template. Like, here's this. Now, like, it was like, come up with a good headline, a big idea that hints at what you're doing. Tell your readers what to do next. And I was like, oh, I can just copy this. This is, highlight one of the number one benefits, the one big reason to buy your product. And it just like, it was like a funny little website that kind of just guides you through like how to, and it was also made on Webflow. But it was just like a funny way, like, how do I set up as a copywriter, thinking like a copywriter, how do I set up my website? I went pretty in depth, and like I had a phase 1 and everything, and these are all the web pages. These are all the web pages I'm going to build. These are all the web pages I'm going to build in the future. I had here was my customer journey, everything I wanted to do, and another customer profile. We had the photographer Lauren Summers. That was one of my customer profiles I was building the site for. I wrote down the main points, the main reason and philosophy as to why I was building my website. I did everything, I treated myself like a client as I was building my own website. This is Squarespace. So towards the end of having Squarespace, I had all these pages. I had portfolio pages. I had my sales funnel pages for my online courses. Both separate pages, separate courses, so that, you watch the YouTube video and it would drive you to different pages of the website, but they were kind of clones of themselves. I didn't feel like I needed to reinvent the wheel, just kind of same format, but just different copy and information and different links. But towards the end of Squarespace, I started to just really filter down everything. I had probably, I want to say 10 active pages on my Squarespace, and it was portfolio, it was resume, it was demo reels, it was blogs, it were both online courses, the about page, the contact page, the home page. It just got to be too much, and some landing pages to capture emails, and I just really trimmed everything down to it was this, where it was just just the website, and then a landing page, just not quite a landing page, but here was the wedding package checklist. You can download the free wedding package checklist. Send me that, here's your email, name, and then I would also I set it up very I was really trying to drive people towards my coaching, so and it just was very simple. And it was don't give people a lot of options to kind of navigate around, and I didn't really do that. It was homepage, resources, coaching. I just had everything kind of tailored down. I could tell I was really trying to, but I got I had this sort of maximalist view with Squarespace, and then I went minimalist view towards the end of Squarespace. I was going to try to do everything and have everything on Squarespace, and then I just got so fed up or frustrated with the limitations that I was running up against that I was fine, I'll just do the bare minimum and just give people the bare minimum experience, not the bare minimum of quality experience, but not give them a flary, flashy experience. Just give them simple, nice, easy to understand. I'm not confused in this, and that's kind of what I was going for. What can I offer? It was all about marketing and selling my coaching, and then really focusing on testimonials, social proof, and then I had my about page turned into my who's my ideal client page. It's really nice. Squarespace sets it up really nice. I mean, it's very consistent. The fonts, you don't have to worry too much about making sure all the margins or padding is all kind of screwed up. There's a way, it's very nice. I gotta say that. They make it look and feel super clean at all times. I wanted to make my own kind of links page, and I was screw this. I don't want people to feel like they can navigate all over the page and they have endless options. I want to give them, if they're looking for something specific, I'm going to show them and give them the something specific list. So here was just this was it. I was directing people. I think this was my link. This was the page that I was driving to for my Instagram page. I didn't want people going to my homepage and just getting lost or reading something random. I wanted to give them this, where it was, daily email. You can listen to the podcast. Just very straightforward. Here are this is basically here's the top 4 things from each category of my life. Video, 1-page proposal. Here's a book that I wrote. Here's my most popular blogs. Don't give them a lot of choices or give them choice overload. I was just make it simple. You would be on YouTube, you click jordanpanderson.com/coaching, and it'd be 2 options, and that's it. There's no other place to navigate. And I think that's something to keep in mind when you're designing a landing page. Just make it simple. Don't give them an out. Either give me your email or sign up for this or contact me now or leave. That's it. That's kind of how you should set up a landing page. That was another thing too with Squarespace. I couldn't sell digital products, and it was either in their policy or they just did not put the resources towards it. And I found that Webflow was selling digital products, and I was yeah, I want to just I want to sell a PDF, I want to sell a WAV file, I want to sell a MOV video file, and I want to have people go through a checkout process, and they wouldn't let you do it. It was like you had to do a physical product, you had to do like a service. Maybe it's like how it was taxed. I don't know. Or the others. Oh, if I did want to sell a digital product, I had to get like the $500 a month premium plan. I was like, I'm not doing that. The cool part about it is you can kind of switch things around, and like it was very like it's all kind of just drag and drop. So if I want to make this a third column, and then make this another third column, or like a column over here, you can do that. And if you mess up, you just hit cancel. So, but you know, with things like this, with the button, like buttons are very consistent, or like you want to, like it's kind of all linear almost. It's like, imagine like, remember working on, it's like maybe you still do this. You're working on Microsoft Word, and like you're like in middle school, and you tried to like, you wanted to put a picture in the, you know, you want to put a picture of you, or a picture of like whatever your subject was, in the text of your paragraph of your essay, and like you know, you hit it on type mode, or linear inline text mode, or square mode. It acts kind of like that. So all the buttons and everything like they're all blocks that take up themselves, so they all kind of move around. You can create new columns, you can create an entirely new column, or just kind of line it up, or make an entire line itself. The kind of workarounds is like, okay, you want more space, then just like put a spacer here, or if you want to make another column, but you don't want all this text over here. It's like there's some tricks that you could do with it that aren't exactly, how do I say it? Like aren't exactly intuitive. When it comes to the image editor, say like, you know, if I want to really focus on me, I can choose what part of the image I want to focus on. I can do inline, I can do a poster, I can make a card. But with a card, it was very, you know, the card you made here affected all the cards you made on every site. So there weren't like, that was another thing too, like you could not make a totally unique poster card, or like, I want this here, but if I make this font this big like this, and this like that, or I want to make this part smaller, then I'm going to start affecting other cards in the rest of the website. Or things like, I want to change the color of this button, because on this site I want it to be red, but if I change it to red here, then it would change the entire site to red. So but then, you know, so it's very simple. As you can see, it's like if you have content, if you're a blogger, if you have pictures, photos, videos, and headlines, like it's very simple, very straightforward. You know, even you can even drop GIFs in here. I even have like a GIF of like how to enroll in my course. You know, they're seemingly straightforward. Talk about all, you know, you can connect things, you can add a bunch of code. Blogging was very straightforward. And then you can go into the design part, and you can start to change the site style. So you had to be on the page you wanted to affect, go to site styles, and then you could start to choose everything, or you could just start to choose on elements. Like I wanted to change this, and the cool part about it is they give you both Adobe Typekit and Google Fonts. So you could just choose anything you wanted, and, you know, and it gives you like, you know, very simple stuff. I can space it out. But again, if you're changing this heading 1, you have to remember that you're changing all heading 1s on the entire site across the board, not just this one. I think mainly Squarespace is like designed to like not give you a lot of it's designed to like not overwhelm you with choices, or not overwhelm you with like, if you're given unlimited options, you would just kind of get inundated. Or if you're so new to this, or you're such like a 101 website user, that you'd just be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to select here. I just tell me, can I make the button round or square? That's all I'm trying to do. So now we're in Webflow. Hello. This is what you get. They have things called symbols, which are things like, they are templates that you make yourself. So you'll build something, and instead of saying like, I don't want to rebuild this card with the right drop shadow and button and the right size font, I just want to copy clone this whole thing and put it into my tools. Like that's what you get with symbols. So usually with me, I just have I have my nav bar that I made, and then I have my footer, and cool. Like that's already have my website. Okay, so the layout you get, so it gives you layout options, section, container, grid, columns, which I kind of had to learn that. Div blocks, I was like, what is a div block? What does that mean? List items. This is, yeah, and this is where it starts to get like counterintuitive a little bit if you're not into website building. Like if you want to say, for example, build a list, you have to build the list and then you have to get list items. Now that's a different, like I thought with Squarespace, it's just like, yeah, just add bullets and that's a list. And that's the what are you talking? And then if you want a link block, that's different too. Like if you want to, I thought you just highlight it, press Command K, add the URL, and that's a link block. No, you have to build a link block. Like you have to take like this is where it gets very like you have to kind of dig into it. There is a learning curve with all this. Well, okay, let's breeze over this. Heading, paragraph, links, collection list, which is a huge category in itself. I have the e-commerce plan, so there are carts, add to cart, web payment options, media, video, YouTube, Lodi animations, which I didn't know this, but you can make After Effects. You can make After Effects animations, export them as a JPEG sequence, like, say it's a 1 second animation and there's 24 frames. You can export all 24 JPEGs, upload this into Webflow, and somehow style it as a Lodi and then you can animate it so that if you scroll down the page, for example, they did this one example with like a rose, like it was a rotating 3-dimensional rose. So as you scroll down the page, the rose like rotated with the scroll and then you rolled, it was very cool. So I didn't know freaking web designers used After Effects. Form blocks, you can build forms. You can, with a higher plan, you can do file uploads. So like you want people's resumes or something like that. And then components, background videos, drop down embed, Lightbox, search bar, sliders, tabs, maps, Facebook, Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Here is where this is a great starting point if you are new to the game. And this is kind of where I like to start too when I'm first starting a page. So I built my nav bar based off this sticky nav bar. So building your own nav bar is kind of complicated. And I just said, cool, let me start with this and then let me kind of reconfigure it how I want it, and then I'm going to save it and clone it so that I don't have to rebuild this again. And that's what it was. So I have a whole page just dedicated, and this is what they teach you, like create a whole page just dedicated to like your style sheet and like building your components. It's almost like your little workshop, but it's a web page that you have. So you have this little workshop web page, build a component, turn it into a clone and or a symbol, and then go to the place where you actually want to land it, and then just drag the clone over and don't worry about it. Best practices, like I said earlier, of like a section holds a container holds a div is just a random block of anything. So then you can add like inside that div, you can add a paragraph, you can add, so now we have this inside a div. I can adjust the padding if I want to. I can then, so you have the navigator on this side, you have the pages, you have your CMS, you have your e-commerce, you have your assets, you have your settings, your clones, and then you just have, I mean, they even have keyboards where you can just like Command E, and I can just say, give me a photo or like give me images, and I can just, cool. Now I get an image. Choose whatever image I want. Let's do, me. So then, yeah, so it's like that. You can drag it like that, and then you can kind of order your order of operations however you want. And I could say, then you can start to style it and say, hey, I want this to have some space in between, give me some padding or give me no padding, things like that. Or say, hey, I want to center this, and let's take this div block. This is where you have to like learn about everything. It's like, cool, I want to do this, don't wrap. Or like I want this now to be on top. So it's kind of like, hey, it's Jordan. So this is very basic stuff, but it's like, it seems basic, but it was like, it took a while. It took if you've taken a web or coding class, or a little HTML, or a little CSS, then you'll walk into this like going, okay, I can handle this. This is not that bad. But if you have none of that, then start to like prepare yourself in a good way though. I'm going to take this, I'm going to look at this and enjoy learning about this, and go with an open mind with it. Okay, so the side here, this is what I liked about this side here, like coming from Photoshop. So up here you have the name of your class, so you can like as you start to create components like on Squarespace, and set, behind the scenes, Squarespace was making classes for you, which are just kind of preset categorizations of assets and styles that you have. So I can say like, this is, typical heading, this is like main heading 10. So now, and then I go say, hey, I want to make another heading, drop in a heading, and then it's like, all right, let me make this one. I'll make it red, for example, and I say, the idea of like a class is I can say I want this to also be a main heading 10 class as well. So now these two things are related, so that when you go to change or adjust it, now you're adjusting multiple things at the same time. This is like how you get the efficiency, and how you're kind of able to change the things you want, but also not change the things you don't want. So if I'm changing this heading, I don't want to change all the main headings on my blogs. I just want to change the heading classes that are on this page or that fall under this name. So you can do things like that, which I love. Inline text, very simple, and then you can have things like Flexbox, which are really great for if you're trying to switch things to a mobile setting. Then you have CSS Grid, which I haven't really learned much about, and I don't really want to learn about it. There was just like everything they were in the tutorial of the CSS Grid, they were telling you about it, and it was like you could just do Flexbox, and I was like, I'll just do Flexbox. So Flexbox was great. I didn't understand the grid that much, and then these are other components that I'm still learning. Inline and inline blocks. It's like if you're working with titles only or buttons, these are great for buttons. This is where I was like, cool, dude. I've been in Photoshop before, and alignment, I understand that. Stretching things, keeping things centered, awesome. And then even now I feel like I'm in InDesign here with the padding and the margins, and they're like, oh yeah, just space it out like that. That's cool. And it was like, this is where I start to, you feel, it feels intuitive. You're like, oh, I know exactly. And then, even things like, okay, let's talk about the size. I want this to be, 500 pixels. Turns out you can actually do, let me change my div block back to vertical. Or I can say like, you know what? I want this to be 50% of the width of the web page at all times. So even if it's a small website, I still want it to be 50% of the width. And I thought, 50% of this div block. So if this div block gets to be, 400 pixels wide, then it's still going to be 50% of that. And I'm probably not lined up. Let me back up. Sorry, guys. Love it. Positions, relative. You have to learn. That's another thing. You have to learn typography. There's nothing else. Typography. That's very straightforward, very similar. You can download fonts. You can import fonts. You can do custom fonts. Learn about all these types of, you could do. Here's the thing, you learn like eames. Oh, the cool part, same thing with like in Photoshop on Webflow, you can say like, I want this to be 2 eames, or I want this to be 225 pixels large, or I want this to be 10%. Like you can be, and then background, you can add images to the background. You can have images to, there are tons of stuff. You can even do things like gradients. You can just say like, I want a gradient here. Or I want this to be totally transparent, but I want this to be slightly red. Like this is how folks start to make like page wide fades in their entire thing. Like it's really, and then even things like borders. Like now I want a curve radius. I want this border to come off have a little bit of margin up here, and I want it to be 50% or like 50 pixels. So it's just like unlimited control of what you can do. Like you can even say like, I want this all to be padded, inside, vertical, and then you're like, this looks. It's like that's what I was going after. Like I want unlimited control with, with this thing. I want as much control. I want to control the box shadow. I want to control every little thing from how I design this website. I want to control it all. I want to have like anything I want to do. And there's even things like, all the animations you can do. You can make this float. You can make this hover. If I were to highlight over this, you can make it do a jump, a backflip, whatever you want to do. And then also they have like, now you can switch it to mobile version and see what fits. Okay, if I switch it to iPhone, here's a iPhone 8, iPhone 7. Okay, that's not going to work. Jordan, I got to take this and, maybe we got to change the width of it, or maybe we got to change the, make it fit, something like that. That's what I liked about it. It was just so much control, so much like finite minutia ability where I can create any kind of design I want. I can create any kind of customer experience I want. Like if I wanted to even things like just making the button hover a little bit longer, or if I want to make you choose something, like I'll go to let me switch over to the perfect wedding package. I don't just want to just hope and pray that you'll click on this. I want to control the experience. You first get on the webpage and I'm like, okay, I want to control the color of this. And I'm like, okay, you can do there. And you just click on it and it gives you kind of preview mode. This hover mode right here for the perfect wedding package is like, you can do, I want, like on Squarespace, I could not do this. I could not say like, I want this main offering to be floating and the button to be red. It would just be, both would be static and both would be black buttons and black text, and I wouldn't have any control. Like, this could be the difference between a sale or not, because people are, maybe this is the first thing they see and then the second thing they see. But if I'm like adding a little bit of UX to it and adding some like, I'm totally against dark patterns, but things like this like adds a little delight to the kind of shopping experience, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I can even like even weird things like controlling the border of the video. Like on Squarespace, it would just be a rectangle, but I could say like, I want this video to be a circle like this, or I want it to be a rectangle. So thanks for watching.